Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Alright.
We are in Cartwright Gardens.
Yeah.
We're not in prison. This isn't a jail block behind us. We're near some tennis courts, so it might get a little noisy, but at least we're under the shade of some trees.
Yeah, so it's Canto 3, Chapter 14, Text 29. We're still dealing with the pregnancy of Diti in the evening. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, text 29. Demigods like Brahman also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is the controller of the material energy which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply imitation. Purport. Lord Shiva is the husband of Durga, the controller of the material energy. Durga is personified material energy, and Lord Shiva, being her husband, is the controller of the material energy. He is also the incarnation of the mode of ignorance and one of the three deities representing the Supreme Lord. As his representative, Lord Shiva is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is very great, and his renunciation of all material enjoyment is an ideal example of how one should be materially unattached. One should therefore follow in his footsteps and be unattached to matter, not imitate his uncommon acts like drinking poison. It's a good point, though, isn't it? Like oh, cute, darling. So cute. So follow the footsteps of, can you be, because it's easy to just, like, they see these, what do they call them, Naga Babas and that, smoking drugs, whatever.
Cannabis, ganja.
And then putting ash and walking around naked and all this, all very well. But what about the fact Lord Shiva's natural renunciation and detachment and meditating on Lord Ram? Can they do this as well, or do they do that?
No, I don't think they do. I mean, they might do. I'm not sure. I haven't met any Naga Babas of late, but next time I bump into one, I'll be sure to ask them.
But it also is a controversial point, because they find, just to be controversial, you could also say, why should I follow and be unattached to matter but not do everything else he does? Isn't it hypocritical? Someone could think that.
Yeah, but he drank an ocean of poison,
right,
for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu, and the demigods, so that basically the churning of the milk ocean, that pastime could go on. So he drank the poison which came out first. It wasn't that he smoked ganja or from drinking that poison that he got high and he liked to do it. That was a different thing. He actually did that out of service. He took the risk and the chance of drinking the poison and absorbing the poison so that, for the benefit of the pastimes of the Lord. It wasn't like he was doing it just to get high and enjoy, and so therefore I have to be renounced, but I get to be high and enjoy. So that's not it. But, yeah. I didn't understand, the first part I found a little, because Prabhupada first says that Durga is the controller of the material energy. Then he says Durga is personified material energy, and Lord Shiva, being her husband, is the controller of the material energy. So I guess she's the controller of the material energy. She is actually the personification, but he controls her. Yeah. So in one sense,
so he controls the material energy.
Yeah, so he also.
That's how I understood it.
So she controls the material energy. Yeah. But he controls the controller of the material energy. So he also controls the material energy. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Good answer. Okay, text 30. Maitreya said, Diti was thus informed by her husband but she was pressed by Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmin sage, just like a shameless public prostitute. Purport. The difference between a married wife and a public prostitute is that one is restrained in sex life by the rules and regulations of the scriptures, whereas the other is unrestricted in sex life and is conducted solely by the strong sex urge. Although very enlightened, Kashyapa, the great sage, became a victim of his prostitute wife.
Oh God.
Such is the strong force of material energy. And now, you thought your first conversation was controversial. Now what you got to say? Anything?
Any thoughts?
Well, my first thought was it's interesting that, they say that prostitution is the oldest occupation. And you can see even in Vedic times there's reference to public prostitution. We know that when Krishna returned to Mathura, or not Mathura, it was Dwarka, when he returned back to Dwarka even, Dwarka, there were prostitutes on the rooftops who were like eyeing him up and feeling, love in their hearts. And it's mentioned there that, that of course in Dwarka is like, the abode of the Lord, and still there were prostitutes there. And I think it's in that purport elsewhere that Prabhupada comments that they also had their place to serve and perform their duty in the Vedic culture. So in one sense, one might argue, and I think I've heard senior devotees also, that it might not be so heavily derogatory. Of course it is derogatory, shameless prostitute, but it's kind of more of a mentality of someone who's pulled around by the sex urge. Now if you did a poll of, even around here, of 100 people around here, how many are being pulled by the sex urge, you might find that it's a fair few, because most people are. So, but I guess, is it that every lady walking down the street, do we consider that they're all prostitutes? Maybe, maybe not. Or are there those persons who are actually genuinely like prostitute, So, because we understand prostitute means someone who sells their body for money, kind of thing,
Yeah.
But here the term prostitute is being referred to Kashyapa's wife, Diti, who is the daughter of Manu, yes. Daughter of Manu. Sarvabhauma. Okay. Don't say anything. Swayambhuva Manu. No. Sarvabhauma. Okay. Stop on your head. I don't think that's correct. But anyway, she's a great personality. She's not just like Jane Doe in the street, and she's being compared to a shameless prostitute, and she's like, the sister of Aditi, and Aditi is the mother of the demigods. So, I don't think it's as a derogatory a term. Maybe it's just a kind of,
indicate unchasteness.
Yeah, and indicate, but she's not being unchaste. She's like with her husband.
Yeah, but according to this situation, because he's a great sage, and he said, not now, this isn't the right time, even your brother-in-law is around, blah blah blah, and according to that time, place, circumstance, she's still, even though advised as such and told Lord Shiva's around, still she was like, nah, so.
Okay, but she didn't go out on the street and be like, hey boys. It's like
no, but that's what I mean. I think the word is being used in a way that she's unchaste. According to time, place, and circumstance, she's being unchaste.
Well, yeah, that's very clear. Yes, she's being. Well, being unchaste. Yeah, I guess because the understanding of chastity is chaste means. We can look at that, but that she unchaste usually means chaste to a specific man, chaste to a topic.
Right. Yes, read on.
So prostitute, according to the dictionary, is a sex worker, or a person in particular, a woman who engages in sexual activity for payment. So there doesn't seem to be like a lesser definition available at the moment. But yeah, anyway, I guess it's a comparable thing. So, but anyway.
Alright. Text 31. Understanding his wife's purpose, he was obliged to perform the forbidden act, and thus after offering his obeisances unto worshipful fate, he lay with her in a secluded place. Purport. It appears from the talks of Kashyapa with his wife that he was a worshipper of Lord Shiva, and although he knew that Lord Shiva would not be pleased with him for such a forbidden act, he was obliged to act by his wife's desire, and thus he offered his obeisances unto fate. He knew that the child born of such untimely sexual intercourse would certainly not be a good child, but could not protect himself because he was obligated to his wife. In a similar case, however, when Haridas Thakur was tempted by a public prostitute at the dead of night, he avoided the allurement because of his perfection in Krishna consciousness. That is the difference between a Krishna conscious person and others. Kashyapa Muni was greatly learned and enlightened, and he knew all the rules and regulations of systematic life, yet he failed to protect himself from the attack of sex desire. Thakur Haridas was not born of a Brahmana family, nor was he himself Brahmana, yet he could protect himself from such an attack due to his being Krishna conscious. Thakur Haridas used to chant the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times daily.
Well, there you go. So if you chant the holy name 300,000 times every day, then you'll definitely be able to avoid the allurements of sex life.
I think it's interesting that the purport begins that Kashyap is a worshipper of Lord Shiva, and it ends with Haridas Thakur being a worshipper of
the holy name.
Yeah, well, I understand. Yeah, Krishna, holy name. So that comparison, that's how I read it, of strength of the faith and who your belief is.
Of course, yeah. I was speaking with one senior Prabhupada disciple recently, and he was talking about the glories of Lord Shiva, and how Lord Shiva is Vaishnava Nam Yata Shambhu, how he is the greatest of Vaishnavas, and actually often he's kind of derided amongst the Gaudiyas, and especially within ISKCON, but really he's a protector of the Dham, and he's so many different things. So, but yeah, I get your point that
he is, but doesn't mean his worshippers are.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Like, I think I have more than one, well, I better be careful, but more than one family member, uncle, who, when I was growing up, I was fascinated because they'd be so devoted to Lord Shiva. And I was very interested in this. And then I subsequently found out they did this because most own, shops, businesses, and it was done on that basis for material prosperity. And they were very devoted in their practices, their worship to him for that reason.
But ultimately, yeah, I mean, he is easily satisfied.
Right.
Is it Ashutosh?
Yeah.
Ashutosh means easily pleased. And so yeah, that's a good point though. Anyway, thought it was interesting that it says Kashyapa thus after offering his obeisances unto worshipable fate. I mean, it's interesting, okay, who is fate, but you can see he went, okay, there you go, fate, this is the way it's got to be, so let's go forward and let be what shall be, kind of thing. But it seems that he understood that, this isn't right, but what can be done? So he offered obeisances unto worshipable fate.
Yeah. He accepted his fate.
Okay, 32. 32. Thereafter the Brahmana took his bath in the water and controlled his speech by practicing trance, meditating on the eternal effulgence and chanting the holy Gayatri hymns within his mouth. So this is after the activity. Purport. As one has to take bath after using the toilet, so one has to wash himself with water after sexual intercourse, especially when at a forbidden time. Okay, especially when at a forbidden time. So it's not like it's an uncommon thing. But at least you should take a bath afterwards. Kashyapa Muni meditated on the impersonal Brahma Jyoti by chanting the Gayatri mantra within his mouth. When a Vedic mantra is chanted within the mouth so that only the chanter can hear, the chanting is called japa. Interesting. But when such mantras are chanted loudly, it is called kirtan. The Vedic hymn, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, can be chanted both softly to oneself or loudly. Therefore, it is called the Maha Mantra or the Great Hymn.
Kashyap Muni appears to be an impersonalist. Comparing his character with that of Thakur Haridas as referred to above, it is clear that the personalist is stronger in sense control than the impersonalist. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita's Paramdrisva Nirvartate, i.e. one ceases to accept lower grade things when one is situated in a superior condition. One is supposed to be purified after taking bath and chanting Gayatri, but the Maha Mantra is so powerful that one can chant loudly or softly in any condition and is protected from all the evils of material existence.
Great chant for deliverance.
So again, that comparison as well between the two devotees.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that it shows here that it seems to imply here that Kashyapa Muni was a yogi and more of an impersonalist rather than a bhakta and a personalist. So, yeah, like that, then one can be easily overcome in that sense.
He wasn't strong, is what I'm understanding. He may have been, big sage yogi Kashyap Muni doing meditation yagyas, but you could be, you could be a street sweeper and you could be an extremely deep bhakta devotee, That makes sense, I'm saying. It's not about the external, and I'm saying,
Yeah. Means
you could be so advanced, you could be going, people may judge you, that's just a street sweeper, and that's a big yogi, but that street sweeper does his service and he goes home, he's tried all these rounds, he does regular reading, he's following the principles, he's fixed, and he, in a battle of wills, may come out much better than someone who's doing all the chanting and the mantras and the tantras and the yagyas and that. That's how I'm seeing this.
Nice, very nice. Should we conclude there?
Yes, okay.
Alright. Okay, so we'll pick up tomorrow with text 33, or next time rather. So,
yes.
how many is in this chapter?
51
pages.
Verses.
Oh.
So we've got a ways to go.
24 pages. Okay, thank you all very much for tuning in. And thank you very much. We've been hearing lots of positive feedback from many of the people in the community and who are picking up these readings. So this gives us, great joy to know that by us sharing the fact that we like to read Srimad Bhagavatam together and discuss that all of you out there are watching this are also. So please share, let others know. Please like. Please give any comments or questions that you might have. Interact with us. My wife is very expert at responding to people. And Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.